So I want to talk about some of the things that we offer in the diversity and inclusion space. So there are a number of them. It really all comes from this idea of the foundations of diversity. Really, we're thinking about 5 things. The first one is, what do we mean by diversity? Us and them. What are we talking about? Who's like me? Who's not like me? What are the differences that actually make a difference? And then once we've worked that out, we can look at, well, okay, there's going to be a majority of one type of person and a minority of another. And there are predictable dynamics around how majorities and minorities work and what their different experiences are. And so we need to locate ourselves and work out how are we working with those dynamics. And within that, there are going to be assumptions and biases going in both directions, some conscious, some unconscious. Then there'll be people who are included and people who are excluded. And how do we work to create a more inclusive culture overall? And finally, in order to do that, we need to understand power and privilege. And so those are the 5 areas that all of our diversity work is based on. So in our diversity and inclusion work, there are a few areas that we focus on. One is around strategy, and we use the Global Diversity and Inclusion Benchmarks as our primary tool to help you figure out where you are now and where you might want to go. And we also do culture audits and interviews and focus groups and various other things to help you understand what your culture is now and what you would like it to be. We do work with global diversity particularly, so I've worked in 24 countries around the world. I also have a network of practitioners in most parts of the world, and we come together to make sure that whatever you're doing in terms of diversity and inclusion actually fits with the cultures that you're working in. We do a lot of work that goes beyond awareness. So a lot of people now have done awareness training or unconscious bias training, which is great. We also do that. And the training by itself is not enough to shift the culture. So it's kind of necessary but not sufficient. So if you want to go deeper into a particular aspect of diversity or even deeper into the whole topic of bias, that's definitely something that we can help with. We do this sort of work for diversity practitioners because those of us who work in this space have just as many biases as everybody else does. So we need to be able to work effectively with ourselves, and that's an area that we're particularly interested in doing. So there's a whole variety of ways that we can support you around diversity and inclusion, as well as around leadership and organizational culture.